Daniella Squicquero of the Greater Bluffton Chamber of Commerce is now joining us. Been a busy week around town. Let's begin with something that didn't happen in town, but the town was very much represented by it. The Miss South Carolina pageant going on over this past weekend. Our own Miss Bluffton and Miss Bluffton Teen were there. How'd they do?
They did very, very well, and you have to remember, these girls, this was the first year that they've done anything like this in their lives for both of them, so especially considering that they did so very well. They looked absolutely beautiful. They were poised, they were articulate, and they really carried themselves well and did a fantastic job representing our community. So we are all extremely, extremely proud of them.
All right, that means to me then that there's probably plans for year two. Tell us how folks can get involved.
Actually, Bob, it'll be year three. Last year we had our first Miss Bluffton Teen, but this year was the first time we actually had a Miss Bluffton. So we had both this year, as well as a Princess Preteen. But as you can tell, the trajectory is growth. And what we want to do is keep this building. We want girls to get involved over the course of multiple years and have this be a very exciting and beneficial part of their lives. So if you want to get a little bit of an idea of how this looked in this past year, you can go to the Miss Bluffton Facebook page. There are videos and photographs sort of behind the scenes. Gives you an idea of what you can expect, and you can also see the girls doing their talent performances. Both of them sang and did a phenomenal job, as well as their interview portions and fitness portions. But for those who would like to get involved into the future, be aware that this is a feeder, Miss Bluffton is, into Miss South Carolina, which in turn is a feed into the Miss America pageant, which of course is an enormous deal, and that organization gives, if I'm not mistaken, around $24 million potentially in scholarships per year, making that available to the ladies. So it's an enormous benefit. But if you would like to get involved, you want to go to missbluffton.com or miss-sc.org, and of course you can always call the chamber.
Yeah, this is, as you mentioned, much more than just a beauty pageant. Some great scholarships are involved, and hopefully we get more ladies from Bluffton proper involved, and that'll make an impact certainly on the rest of the state.
Absolutely.
Bluffton Rotary Club just held its annual Charter Night. Tell us a little bit about the club and what all of Charter Night means.
Absolutely. So for those who are not familiar, the Rotary organization is now an international organization. It was actually started in 1905, but in 1988 the Bluffton Rotary was chartered. So annually since then we have been celebrating the inception of this organization in the area. It was actually done in partnership with the Hilton Head Rotary at the time. So there's a lot of symbiosis there, and of course there are other organizations now. There's an Okatee Rotary and a couple of other ones, Beaufort. And so it's a wonderful organization, not only in our local area, but internationally, as well as nationally. So this Saturday, and we had a charter night, which we sort of celebrate every year, and the outgoing board, it's sort of their party and their celebration, and congratulating them for doing what is always a wonderful job. So that was at the Crescent Club, which was fantastic. It was live music, wonderful food, just a wonderful way to celebrate the year. But we have been now, we're going into, if I'm not mistaken, our 28th year. Wow. And I can remember that because I was born the same year as Bluffton Rotary.
How about that? Much more than just a networking group and a group that has parties. They sponsor an awful lot of events too, don't they?
That's right. We are very involved in, we sponsor the Happy Feet event every year, which is very exciting. We do Christmas Angels, we do the Interact Scholarship, and speaking of Interact, we were able to award Mr. Tony Falgiani, which is one of our outstanding Rotarians in our organization. He is very, very involved in Interact and all of the youth sort of outreach that we do, including our incoming and outgoing exchange students this year. So he has been really, really involved, and he has just an enormous positive impact in our area, not only as an individual, but as well as via the Rotary organization. So we were extremely proud of him, and we're glad to award him the Rotarian of the Year.
Any other quick updates before we go?
Yes, so last time I was here, I mentioned that July is sort of an off week, or an off month rather, for the Chamber, which is true. We're going to be doing a lot of behind the scenes work, sort of ramping up for the second half of the year. But for June, we are having still our after hours, the Hump Day after hours, which we always have the last Wednesday of the month. And that's going to be at Southern Barrel in Buckwalter in Bluffton. And the doors open there at 5:30 p.m. That's going to be a lot of fun, but we will not have an after hours in July. So what you want to do is make sure that you are looking at the website, blufftonchamberofcommerce.org. And of course, you can always call and email us, but you want to make sure that you're aware of what's coming up, because we're going to kind of slow it down for July and then ramp it right back up again.
All right, we'll celebrate the end of June for sure. Daniella, thank you so much for the time.
Thank you.
Daniella Squicquero of the Greater Bluffton Chamber of Commerce.